Yeah. Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. Yeah, you know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. See on stage. On-chain revolution. Done this. Boom. On-chain. Hey, on-chain revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recaps, then I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action. Yeah, send it to the deck. Yeah, sell it through the spec. Ordinals the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to review. And the bearish gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge. Look at the chart.
Welcome back to On-Chain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What's up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live on the On-Chain Hour, and we got Bitcoin sitting at 122,400. Sideways day after yesterday's sell-off. But what made the markets drop yesterday? All the ETFs, Bitcoin, Ethereum, they all had inflows. But where did the sell pressure come from? It came from Wintermute. Who supplies Wintermute with the coins? It is Binance. Binance was letting their chain rip, buying their coin up, but dumping Bitcoin and Ethereum all day yesterday through Wintermute. Some people say, hey, that's just how they get their liquidity. Others will say, hey, they don't want things to pump yet. They want to liquidate the longs, and they did. Over $600 million of longs liquidated in the last 24 hours. And the shorts, well, they came back and got them too. $200 million in shorts were liquidated. So it does seem like, the perp dexes are, not doing the crypto ecosystem great. But, it's still early days of October. We're only on October 8th. We still have a long way to go in Q4. We're in a very early day. We're in the first week of Q4, honestly. We just got into the second week. And, with Bitcoin and stuff back at 122, I do feel we are going to run potentially tomorrow and Friday going into next week. Very strong week. BNB chain is bringing a lot of people back. They're bringing a lot of people back on chain. China is in a bull run, not just in crypto. Their stocks are running too. They are printing money. They're already doing quantitative easing. Japan back to doing quantitative easing as well. So we're seeing a lot of these countries in the East really pushing liquidity into their markets. When will we see it? Hopefully we see that this month or next month with Jerome Powell, maybe getting into some quantitative easing over here. We have a great show for you guys. We're going to be covering the BNB stuff in depth. We're going to be looking through a lot of the stuff that's happening and kind of show you the war between Solana and BNB. A lot of the Solana guys are they're crying on the timeline a little bit. Not directly, but there's like, hey, Solana's the best. But we're going to get into that as well. So without further ado, let's get the show started. Bringing my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
What's up, man? So what a day yesterday was with the amount of blood in the markets. I mean, it got pretty bad. I think Bitcoin got to like 120 after being out to 126 the prior day.
Yeah, and since I think it was last what when we started that rise up was, I want to say, maybe to get from that 112, we went from 111 to 126. So in a matter of, I'd say 5 days, and which is really strong, but then in one day we pulled back half of that, right? So I think it was really intense yesterday. We had the guys from Arturo Finance on and for their show, The Trader's Edge, and really couldn't explain it other than just a kind of healthy correction. But it does seem like today we are starting to pick back up into what looks to be, at least for the shorter time frames, the hour time frame, an uptrend starting. Let's see if that continues on.
Yeah, 100%. There is an uptrend over on BNB though. We're seeing, BNB coin really stay strong. It's just below 1,300 right now, but it got above that. So let's jump right into our first topic of the day. BNB is stealing the show. Next 1000X about to erupt from Binance Smart Chain for this Q4. What are your take on this?
So they are taking the liquidity back. They're taking a lot of the attention, mind share from crypto Twitter back, and it just seems like there's not much happening on Solana. A lot of these, I think maybe one token bonded in a 12 to 14 hour period yesterday on Pump Fund, which is not really normal, right? Obviously. But then you get a lot of these Solana people that talked about Solana bridging over to BNB. Some of them kind of hyping it up and then getting wrecked when they get over there and then talking bad about it when they go back to Solana. So, at the end of the day, this is still kind of that meme environment. So you got to be careful. Just because it's hot over there doesn't mean that you can play all these new pairs. That is one thing that Pump Fun and this cycle created, was basically a extreme oversaturation of tokens. And so what that means is that these new tokens have just a higher and higher risk to get wrecked on. So some people are having the strategy of only messing with the established tokens in those mid cap style at least for the memes, and that's the 6-figure area, right? So it's gonna be interesting to see if this volume and stealing of liquidity continues. But as of right now, they have the spotlight.
Yeah, and it's not just people coming back and loading up their BNB wallets and saying, "Hey, I got some BNB in here. Let me play." It's actually people coming from Solana, and this is a video from the guy, great guy Clemente. Let me play this for you. If you can hear this, you should be able to hear it. But he's learning Chinese.
Buy the dip. 逢低买入，
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 逢低买入。Fundy my rule.
But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on. And then we are seeing a lot happening on chain as well, not just from there, but you are seeing this big thing right here. Look at this. So Solana is just flying over to BNB. You are seeing some money go to ETH and other places, but Ethereum, same thing. So money is flowing from Solana and ETH and even Arbitrum, which we do know is hyperliquid potentially. So money flowing out of potential hyperliquid to go to BNB and base chain as well. Not these guys are no one's leaving. That these ecosystems either don't have nobody on them or no money on them, but you are seeing some flow. But everything's going to BNB right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because you can see, like you mentioned, there's a part of it peeling off to Ethereum, and then Base and Arbitrum as well. Not much though, right? It's all heading to BNB right now. So how long does this last for? That's the question. Because if you think about it, you and I had a discussion before the show, prepping, saying, in my opinion, I think the intensity really got going for meme coins and those, trying to jump from meme coin to meme coin opportunity last week. But then you have Aster that's been hot for going on a month now. So was that part of the liquidity event? And then you can even go back even further to the summer, whenever Binance was sending a lot of Bitcoin and Ethereum over to Wintermute and selling down. Has this been part of this whole experience of sending, I think 3 meme coins past 200 million in the past week, right? So Solana hasn't been able to do that in 3 months, 4 months. They haven't been able to send a meme coin past 100 million, in fact, in the past couple months. So this is something that is flexing that BNB or BSC has the liquidity to be able to support this. Also, you have to remember, like you mentioned, they are going through injecting liquidity into their markets in general. So,
yeah, 100%. We'll get into the Wintermute stuff in a little bit, but you are seeing Solana kind of come on and start crying a little bit. They put out many men, where's death upon me? But then if you scroll down, you actually see something kind of funny. You actually see, or is it? There it is. BNB posted window shopper. So Chain the Shane has some battle in here. What do you think about that? This is good for. Is this good for the space? I like it.
I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's funny, but Solana's been able to kind of sit on top of that hill for the past couple years with minimal disruption. Yeah, you did have a short period of time where BNB kind of took a little bit of the attention away, but wasn't long at all. I think you had a couple moments with Sui, but nothing has really been able to take the liquidity and attention away from Solana. Uh, this might be getting more attention than normal, and so maybe it seems more, aggressive. But those images aren't lying. There's liquidity bridging out of Solana. So we're going to see what it looks like. Also, what are they going to do to try to win back the market? They could do something, big. Finally, think about the users instead of just the coin deployers. Because I think even this BNB experience right now, the BSC, it's still very extractive. They're very happy about the fees that they're collecting, all those type of things, and the end user. Look, everybody can't win. I get that, but people have to win to get more people in. You know what I mean? And if it's just a bad experience overall because of coin saturation, I don't know if retail comes back.
Yeah, I mean, and then you're seeing, so Solana guys, Soul meme season, GM chat, any good meme quotes worth bidding, and then you have Phantom Solana's forever. So you're seeing, these guys, they're trying. I mean, but this guy right here can inject some liquidity, right? He's sitting on a bunch of Soul. He's sitting on, billions of dollars worth of pump. They could do an airdrop this week, and that's kind of one of the rumors that I am hearing. Whether that's Solana or the pump token itself, or maybe a little bit of both. They have a ton of it and can pump it into the ecosystem by airdropping it to holders of Solana. People are saying coin deployers, like you said, and or users, right? But we don't want to see the coin deployers kind of make anything. We want to see the people who've gotten hurt kind of receive some of the Solana back and stuff like that. So that could really inject it. People say, "Oh, you see the airdrop," and then run back to their wallets over on the Solana side and start playing the meme game again. Because at the end of the day, Elon and Phantom, they're gonna get all that money back.
Yeah, that could be a strategy that they use, and maybe they do some sort of encouraging of getting these tokens to be able to kind of go up instead of being stalled out constantly. I don't know how you can do that because there's so many tools already integrated into all these platforms, Axiom, Photon, and then newer tools come out all the time. And so that's a big part of the problem, because like once a token, it's very just about straight profit now on Solana, to where that's why I think these meme coins can't get to those levels, is because the people that are highly successful at using these tools, it doesn't benefit them for them to get to 100 million. What I mean? It benefits them to take as much as they can at that moment and move on to the next one that tries to push the envelope again, because there will always be new coins that try to push the envelope, but they're just not getting past a certain level of success. And so that something within that mechanism has to change for people to want to risk it, because right now your risk is just too high for the reward. There's no reward, really. You know what I mean? It's like the reward is you have to be just as good as these other guys that are better than you. So
yeah, 100%. But so Solana going up would help as well, right? The price of they've seen these prices kind of go up, so that's the thing too. Maybe that's it. Maybe the reason why stuff isn't running, because Solana's been between 180 and 220 for, I mean, God, it's been like since like March.
Yeah, it has been. And well, it started to get a little aggressive, I think after that, whenever they had the treasury companies, but that didn't really sustain much. There was no continuation of that. You know what I mean? And so last Q4 of 2024, Solana was one of the leaders in terms of price jumping out. Obviously, BNB's looking to try to take that title this Q4, and they have already, right? So I just don't know if this is going to be a flat quarter for Solana and things on Solana, but I can't imagine that they're not going to benefit from the entire quarter. There's usually rotations of ecosystems in previous cycles. This cycle has been thin liquidity, so it's been hard to do that. And so I think a lot of time that's why a lot of liquidity did stay in Solana, is because there just wasn't any extra, and maybe some of these platforms kind of boosted what seemed to be more liquidity than there actually is for like retail users and stuff. And so that kept people on Solana too, possibly, right? So we just need like liquidity events to happen, because that's what's going to get the energy going for there to be a rotation of ecosystems.
Yeah. 100%, and we were talking before the show as well that this could have all started with Aster. Before Aster launched, BNB was like $800, $850. After Aster launched, BNB was like above 1,000, and then during this big meme run up, we see it back up above 13, and it's one of those things where for everything to kind of happen, Solana needs something to happen, whether that's that airdrop or whatever. But when you're holding BNB at 800 and now you're holding at 300, you have a lot of liquidity that you want to play with, right? So I think that's a big deal of it too, and that's why you're kind of seeing 4.mean flipped pump fund in 24-hour revenue, according to DeFi Llama, with a surge of on-chain meme coins. BNB chain, the DEX volume actually went over $6 billion yesterday in one day. The DEX volume for PancakeSwap was $6 billion, marking the second highest level of the year, with PancakeSwap capturing the majority of the market. PancakeSwap only had 4.29 in the trading volume, but still absolutely insane for PancakeSwap and what's happening over there on Binance.
Yeah, the volume is it's really been aggressive, but it is starting to get I think a little bit of the saturation of tokens is starting to, people are starting to see that. And so we'll see if how this calms down, because I think it's still it's that dangerous kind of area where everybody's flooding over for the new pairs, and coin deployers in this kind of market, they've been making out like bandits, right? So they'll launch as many coins as they can, and so you have to have a really good strategy still, even though things are running, which is kind of sad, because imagine in 2021 if we had the same thought process now back then. Then when you spot a Sheeb or a Floki or something like that in the beginning, then you kind of know the characteristics of the winners, right? Like you see that community forming and stuff, you're like, oh, that's that, right? And then Binance Smart Chain was one of the first. I think it actually was right after Ethereum, and then maybe Phantom came in after that. But Binance Smart Chain had a very successful ecosystem too right afterwards. It was very degen though. So we'll see if this continues here. But yeah, man, I kind of miss those 2021 days.
Yeah, I think we all do at this point, right? As we're sitting in 2025 in October, and we haven't had a runner all year, it feels like. Then you're seeing stuff like this. I don't even know any idea what this even says, but just won the $300 million. I mean, look at this. This is I think like an hourly chart. It's been pretty nuts. Just watching this stuff really run here. Have you been paying attention? Have you been looking at anything? Is there any alpha that you're looking at? Any coins that you're looking at personally over on BNB?
Well, so everybody's looking at the stuff that CZ posts about, and the last one that he posted about was the BSC coin, which is sitting at 15 million. It got up to 18 million earlier, like about 10 minutes ago was there. But he basically posted BSC, what does it stand for? And this is someone launched this. They basically said it stands for Binance Super Cycle. And so then it started to run. This launched, I think, like 10 hours ago. So that's something I'm looking at. But like, some of these other tokens that are coming out, even the mid cap ones, you got to be careful with, because like now everybody's here. I think it would have been easier a week, like, over the weekend maybe, or something like that, right? So does it continue? Probably, but it will probably continue similarly like how Solana was whenever it's oversaturated, where people are going to get wrecked and you'll have some winners. But I'm already kind of thinking about what's next. What's going to be the next thing that's going to be hot? Because I think you want to be early, like whenever everything starts to lay out. Maybe it could be like, I don't know, it could be this thing that's happening on Bitcoin. It could be another chain, but right now Binance still has the attention, but I don't think people are going to win like they are expecting, because they're coming over a little late. And this is crazy to say that because it's only been 4 days, right?
Yeah.
And it's late because of the cycle is like that. So in 2021, this is extremely early, you know, if you came in over in 4 days, but that's just not how it is this year in this cycle.
Yeah, 100%. You know, but it could continue. I mean, right? I mean, Solana continued for 4 months, 5 months, right? When it was really hot. So who's to say this is the end? Who said this isn't just the beginning, right?
Yeah. I'm not saying it's not. I'm actually thinking it's going to continue, but
Yeah, me too.
again, that means more tokens will be launched. So you have to
Yeah.
be more careful, you know. So I'm not saying that the volumes won't actually even grow from here. They probably will, but what I am saying is it's going to get harder and harder, because that means more tokens will be launched and deployed. And I mean, the West has a disadvantage here, first of all,
Yeah.
because this is the East game. But imagine that's how they've always felt. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like we get to kind of feel how the East feels for once in terms of why they didn't get into runes, because the ticker was so long. Well, people are complaining about the tickers over here being all in Chinese. They've had to deal with that since the inception of DeFi and you know, altcoins, right? So they get the advantage right now, and so with that being said, you know, you're not going to know what tokens to get into. And that's another thing that these Solana guys are really not happy about, because they had their like internal chat groups, but like when they go over there, they don't get that. They actually are like regular people. So they're running back with their tail in between their legs, complaining about Binance, but it's because they don't have the edge anymore.
Yeah.
Who has the edge? The native Chinese, right? In their groups. And they know how to pump stuff, and a lot of times they know how to hold things, but it's getting saturated now, and so you got to be very careful.
Yeah, 100%. But you know, so BNB has come for the meme coin players, right? It does look like now they're coming for the builders. So YZI Labs announced a $1 billion builder fund to double down on founders in the BNB ecosystem, especially on BNB chain. The fund will support BNB-based innovation through capital tools integration and its 460 million user ecosystem, focusing on areas such as DeFi, AI, RWA, DeSci, payments, and wallets. So if you are a builder and you want to get a piece of this $1 billion fund that they're just giving away, this is not an investment. This is just a fund that's just going to just be out there and say, hey, you're building here, you get a part of this. So what do you think, man? They're coming after the builders now. Or we're about to see an influx of building happening over there on BNB.
Yeah, they have the money to kind of chunk around like that too, right? So I'm not shocked that they are doing this. I man, like I still don't know how I feel about like the memes getting things going again, right? Like it's exciting to see a couple of these go past like 100 200 million, but if they start to build something with this grant program that is interesting and different, I'm about kind of done with the meme launchpad stuff a little bit. You know, I feel like let's even if it's like a risky type of protocol, let's try something different for once. Let's mix it up a little bit. So maybe this is something that will come out of this. You know, $1 billion is a lot, so they can do a lot, and teams can do a lot with you know, getting a $200,000 grant or a $500,000 grant, and that can go a long way.
I mean, you know, $1 billion is what, 1,000 million, right? So it's like that's potentially $1 million to 1,000 different builders. So, you know, and especially I did like how they didn't put Launchpad in here. They put DeFi, AI, RWA, payments, and wallets. So they're coming for the builders now. They're saying, hey, if you're building an ETH, come here. We got money for you. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's move along though. Enough BNB talk for today. Let's talk about some shiny metal. Gold hits $4,000 for the first time, making an all-time high. I have seen charts, man, saying, you know, Bitcoin always follows gold, and Bitcoin has a lot of catching up to do. Potentially this quarter, So we'll see. But man, Peter Schiff is probably smiling for the first time in 20 years at this point because gold's been just long. I mean, this gold
No,
chart, dude.
it's been going up consistently, so he's been smiling the whole time.
Well, since 2023, right? So it hasn't really. I mean, look at this. So it's been pretty sideways since 2013, 2011. So,
yeah,
but I mean, the last 2 years, 3 years, I've just been insane.
yeah, it's been amazing. For the last 2 years. I mean, and more specifically, the last how long is that? That looks like just straight. You just melt those green candles together because that's basically one big gigantic green candle. I mean, there's no break in between.
Yeah, these are weekly.
Obviously,
it's probably let's look at the monthly here. Oh my god, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, gold has just been outperforming. Obviously, percentage wise, it's probably not as intense as it seems. But like, if you look at the price appreciation here, I don't know if many charts that we can pull up right now on a monthly time frame that look like that. There isn't.
Yeah. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, what this monthly looks like. I mean,
A little bit similar, a little comparable, I guess. Yeah, I mean, tougher breaks in between, but
yeah, more volatility
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
So that's just I mean look at the little red, and then you go to Bitcoin, you see some big red ones, right? That's the difference, the big red ones. But if you take everything out and you go to let's just go to the yearly, the 12 months, it's that's Bitcoin, right? So that looks really good. And then you kind of go to gold. I mean, that's the yearly for gold, right? So big giant green dildo for gold there. But yeah, let's get off the shiny metal stuff and get back into some crypto stuff here. So SEC chairman Paul Atkins said the SEC plans to formally initiate rulemaking for an innovation exemption. So Gary Gensler, he used to like to say about this Howey test, and if it doesn't pass the Howey test, so now you'll potentially have 2 years for you to pass the Howey test. So once your inception of the coin, you have 2 years potentially, and this isn't in law yet, this is something they're still working out to pass the Howey test. So you potentially can launch a coin and have 2 years. How do you think about that? I think to me that's real innovation exam. That's huge.
I think it's fair. It's definitely fair, because if you can't decentralize your token in 2 years, then that's on you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
it's cool to see plans being in place though from an SEC. Dude, when we used to talk about SEC this time last year, we were always so negative. Everything was just like, great, here comes SEC. Now it's like it's all positive. It just feels good to be in a world where these guys aren't against you as much as they used to be.
Yeah, it definitely feels good. And I think it's going to be even a bigger sigh of relief once they do button everything up, right?
Yeah.
And then there's that first official kind of clarity framework. And then, obviously they can tweak things here and there in the future, but it won't be, they'll have that base to work off of consistently. And then there won't be any excuses for the companies that are building in the space, right? Because they have everything there. So
100%. Okay, the next thing on October 7th, spot Bitcoin ETFs saw recorded a total net inflow of 876 million, just below $1 billion, marking 7 consecutive days of net inflows. Spot ETH saw a net inflow of $471. This is yesterday. What happened yesterday? Bitcoin fell from 126 to 120, but you're seeing inflows in ETF, right? But then you kind of dig deeper. Over the past 24 hours, on-chain data shows Binance transferred millions of dollars worth of ETH to market maker Wintermute, a move that coincided with a sharp market downturn. Over 438 million in longs were liquidated in the past 24 hours, as a total of wipeouts hit 619 million. So some shorts got liquidated as well. But dude, take a look at this. This is Binance sending to Wintermute all day yesterday. 12 straight hours of just sending.
it flows into kind of this speculation that You know, what token is thriving the most right now? Right?
Yeah.
If I were to ask you that, which one would you say?
I mean, it's obviously BNB, right? I mean, that's
Yeah. And so if you look at the 7-day for BNB, it has a 27% increase.
yeah.
In the top 10, second place comes in at Bitcoin at 4.16%. So, you know, however they're profiting off of this, whether it's fees or whatever, maybe it's their personal holdings. Obviously, it's got to be, you know, they're making lots of money off of selling down these assets. They, you know, seem to be propping up their token. If I'm using logic and I'm just using my brain, you know, I said there's not. If you've been in the space and you paid attention to how crypto works for the past 12 months, even you don't even need 12 months, you could 6 months. Especially if you have experience beyond that, though. It's sometimes the picture is very transparent the way it's painted, right? And we saw with Aster, you and I right off the bat tipped off that something weird was going on there with a $70 billion discrepancy between 24-hour volume between the leader of Aster and second place, which either was lighter or hyperliquid, you know. So we correlated BNB diverting, redirecting their volume there. And then second is this, a 27% increase in the 7-day period. And the second place in the top 10 is actually, so I stand corrected here. Dogecoin is number 2 at 4.2%. So, I mean, it's not much better, right? So you're looking at a 22% difference, right? There has to be something going on that to where they're propping that up. It's not. Yes, it was already kind of hot in the summer, getting to that 900. People were teasing 1,000. We're talking about 1,300 now. It's accelerating at a rate that's just doesn't make sense with the rest of the market.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It really doesn't, especially when the market is, you know. I mean, I'm looking through here. You're not seeing any BNB get sent to Wintermute, right? BNB is the third largest coin in the world. You're seeing no BNB get sent, but you are seeing Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to me, too. The first part of this where the ETFs have inflows. So do we got to get to a point where the inflows in the ETFs are stronger than what Binance has? Do we need to wait for Binance to kind of be depleted a little bit from their reserves and a lot of that going into the ETFs?
Well, also, you know, like how much is actually being sent in terms of value, right? Like, is this all 1-to-1? Is there any paper involved with this? If it is all 1-to-1, then of course, yeah, it's just going to be simple math.
Yeah.
That's have to be outweighing the Binance sell downs, right?
It's all real Bitcoin, like 186 Bitcoin, 22 million, 172 ETH, or 172 Bitcoin, 20 million. So, I mean, it's pretty big.
that's winter mute. I'm talking about the ETF inflows. So is the
okay.
ETF inflows actually being purchased at that moment and affecting the price at that very moment? Because if it is, then yes, it's a simple math equation to where we just
it's
need
OTC
more
buying.
So there you go. So that could be part of it to where it's
Yeah.
not positively affecting Bitcoin and Ethereum's price. And then the impact gets hit from the sell down of Wintermute selling the asset, because that for sure does affect the price.
Yeah. Because it goes into the pools at Binance and stuff like that. You know, with when the ETFs buy, they buy at 4 p.m. Eastern. So all day long it's being calculated, and they go to Coinbase and they say, all right, give us 22 Bitcoin or whatever it is, and they add that to their account, right? So it's one of those things where, or with how much whatever it is. But yeah, so you're right. So the OTC doesn't affect price at all because they're buying Coinbase Prime, and it just has the Bitcoin sitting there. But Coinbase Prime eventually has to go on chain, right, into these pools and add to Coinbase Prime once it's depleted itself. So we'll see. All right, move along here. Let's kind of get into the strategy stuff right here. So we had let me move this up a little bit. All right. So so Ninja Strategy just did something pretty cool. Good for them. They raised over $1 million in their in their thing here, and they have a claim already. For those who got in, we're preparing a delivery. Trading begins on Radfi soon, so you can already claim your tokens. Pretty wild.
Wow.
So they raised over $1 million. I wish it said how much they raised. But I seen it earlier. It's over $1 million. But congratulations to them. They raised a little bit over 8 Bitcoin. So they have about a quarter of what the Node Monkey strategy is doing. We do know that Nocturnal in the chat said that Node Monkeys just put out a tweet. Let me just give it. Okay, tonight. Okay, hold on. Let me give us a quick refresh. So it does look like the Node Monkey is going live tonight. Trading on Radfi will commence tonight, approximately 11 p.m., 1 a.m. Eastern time. What? Why 11 p.m.? I don't want to stay up that late. It's 1 p.m. Hong Kong time. Okay, so turn on notifications. So it's going live. This is the first one going live tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern time. And then Pizza Ninjas, you can already claim your tokens, which is pretty nuts. But yeah, how do you feel about these strategies going into effect tonight?
So there's a different dynamic to this approach, by the way, than how Punk strategy started. And we clarified that today, that Punk strategy didn't start with a raise. They just had that 10% buy and sell fee implemented in the smart contract. So that's how they raise their money, basically, to do their mechanism, their flywheel. With this, you get a head start. And I actually think this is a better idea. So I think we're going to see it in action tonight, right? So I think that them going live tonight, Pizza Ninjas following up with it, is going to bring some excitement that's different, right? We had Punk strategy, I get that, but this is different because it is being raised, and we're going to see how doing a raise affects the actual flywheel to get going and stuff, because it could be something that's popular and becomes contagious across the entire space.
Yeah, 100%. So now we officially have 2. It's going live tonight. What are you expecting? I mean, it started all. It's about a $7 million market cap right now. We do know OTC was trading the last couple of days. I don't know what it is now, but it was trading at around 21 million OTC. What are you expecting here? Are you expecting a 3x off the bat?
I expect that gap to close. I honestly don't know what to expect with this, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much liquidity is already bridged over to Radfi. I don't know, if there's going to be a lot of people just selling down some of these assets that already live on here. And I look at those, and there's not too much liquidity to sell down. There is one token that's just completely rising above the rest, and it's that Chinese community back at it. I mean, you got the baby bottle at $17.1 million market cap. I mean, we got to really learn from these guys, man. They know how to get a community together and say, hey, look, there's a mission. The mission is to get this thing to $100 million market cap. You know what I mean? And they succeed. In this market right here, I mean, it completely stands out. It completely stands out, right? 17.1 million. The mindset that they have to work together and to be able to trust each other blows the West away. It really blows the West. It blows the West away. It's embarrassing a little bit too, but it is what it is. There was a time when the West was like that in 2021. That's how you have those tokens that like Shiba Inu and Floki back then, and some of these other meme coins that actually work together to build market caps. But this is something that can, Node strategy can build up, and I'm going to be honest with you. They have their hands full if they're competing with Baby Bottle right off the bat, right? So they can do it, though. They do have the raised funds. They also have a lot of people that are bullish on it. And so let's see if maybe the East and West kind of come together for that and get that going. I do know the Pizza Ninjas do have a good East and West community from both sides.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're right, dude. And there's not much liquidity here. I mean, there's probably about, well, not including dog, right? So a lot of these are this liquidity is not even here, but Baby Bottle is 17 million. I guess you can go to TVL, right? If you go to Explorer, don't they have TVL here?
If you go to pools, I think.
Pools? Yeah, you're right. So yeah, so they have about $2 million, $3 million in TVL. So yeah, we're about to see a huge influx of liquidity if this thing does take off. So what would surprise you if we wake up tomorrow and it's sitting at like 20 million? Would that surprise you or no?
I think between 40 and 50 would surprise me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about if it's trading at 8, 9 million tomorrow? Would that surprise you?
Yes, that would
Okay.
that would surprise me a bit, right? Anything lower than that definitely would very much surprise me, make me worry about the Pizza Ninjas one. But the Pizza Ninjas one actually has a little bit of some different characteristics to it too. It's the 14th rune to be etched. This Pizza Ninjas team has held on to that rune in their back pocket till now, and so I don't know. Those are going to be the two. I mean, in theory, they should be the top three at least, with Baby Bottle being in there. I'm not going to count Baby Bottle out, man. That's just I mean, what they're doing over there with that little liquidity is crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts for sure, but it does show you that China is there, right? So that's a one benefit of Radfi. China is playing there. But so these guys have 28, Bitcoin right now sitting there. They bought 110 node monkeys. This coin goes live and they just start buying node monkeys like crazy. Coin starts flying, right?
I imagine they probably want to focus on the token first, right? And obviously they're going to get the 10% in and out, right? So they're going to probably kind of just observe. I think they probably want to observe to see what the volume looks like, because they might have to help getting the volume going to create that FOMO as well, to get people to bridge out.
They can't though. They can't use this Bitcoin for anything but node monkeys.
Oh, really? They can't use that for
Yeah.
anything else? Yeah,
No, it
then
has to be a node monkey purchase. So the money that the 10% that they're getting, they're going to be using that to buy node monkeys and sell them. That's the flip money.
yeah.
This money right here is
Okay.
for the treasury of the node monkeys. This has
Isn't
to be
there
used
isn't
for
there
node
a
monkeys.
but I thought there was a buyback and burn, so that's a part of the flip process?
That's a part of the fees, the 10%
Okay.
buy and sells. So everything that you're talking about is all that money has to, this 28 Bitcoin has to go to node monkey treasury. It has to. So that's potentially 400 node monkeys, right? If not more. But yeah, it could get. So if I was them, as soon as it goes live, I'm just buying a node monkey every 10 minutes. Every
I guess
block, I'm
so.
just buying one node monkey,
Yeah.
one node monkey, because that's just going to keep, potentially keep people like really interested. Wow, I'm getting exposure to 400 node monkeys. Like, this is crazy. Node monkeys are flying. The price of node monkeys are going up because it's constant buy pressure. I mean, this is a win. This is a win for the Ordinals ecosystem.
Yeah, well, it is once we see it in action. That's my take on it.
Yeah. You got to say it, but like I like, I love kind of thinking about it. Like, for me, I think this is just like, it's so genius. I don't know. I just love that they raised money to do this, because it's just, I don't know. It's really cool. But again, we're going to say it tonight, and we're going to see how it works, and if it doesn't work or if it does work. But we did see the punks, right? They just bought another one. So, but they're not buying floor anymore. So the punks, this is not a floor punk. They're going to buy the rare ones with the eye patches. Is that something potentially we could see the node monkeys doing? Not just buying the ones on the floor. They actually went way above the floor and buying really rare ones. Is there really, I guess, the alien? Would that be something that would be really cool if they purchased an alien for the?
That would be pretty cool. But I think we got to check back with Node strategy to see if they put that in their, kind of transparency part of their site, if they are going to be doing floor. But that's something they can change. They probably just have to talk to the community about it, right? So if you go to the transparency area right here,
Nothing says floor, from my understanding.
Going back here, let me see the FAQ section. Yeah, so I'm not seeing anything on the floor here. It doesn't say anything about the floor yet. I'm almost done here. It says where does the auction? Okay, it says market by node monk. So that means they can get anything from floor to alien, right? Or the top of the ceiling, I guess you would say.
I would love to see an alien buy. That would get me so bullish, dude. Like, if we're sitting here and
yeah, but it does say, there is one part that says, how do you pick which node monks to buy? 65% of auction money is used to buy node monks for the treasury. We focus on floor price node monks to maximize the number we can acquire and list in our ladder system. So I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are only going to do that, but their focus is on the floor price. So I think that wording was actually, put in there perfectly.
Yeah, these guys did a really good job of wording this out to, keep themselves, legit, because they can pretty much do anything they want to do, which is cool. But Punk Strategy now holds 29 punks. That value is probably high now. I think it's like 240 for a punk, and you times that by 29. They're holding about $6.9 million in punks right now. So,
man,
and they're valued at what, 125 million. So that's, I mean, think of Node Monkeys get $6 million worth of Node Monkeys, like in a month from now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, $100 million. That's a 13x.
So when you said valued, you mean the market cap of CryptoPunks or the token?
So no. I'm saying they have about $6.9 million worth of punks if they sell them all on the floor.
Okay.
If they sold for the floor value right now, they listed them all. They have almost $7 million in punks.
Gotcha. I thought you said something about 120 something million. In
No,
value.
that's the value of the Punk Strategy coin.
Yeah. Oh, it was. It dropped to 100 million just now. 103. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, 100 million is a success, but they got to figure out how they get this to stop bleeding a little bit here, because it seems like it went up really high, almost to 300 million, but then now you're looking here at 103.8. It did wick down to 72, around 74, 75 million, but it got bought back up really quick, and then now it's been kind of laddering down. But I also feel like it's whenever like Bitcoin and things started to kind of settle down, like early yesterday, this token also kind of had a little bit of struggle. So it has some of that, and I also think it has some of the BNB. So I think there's probably big holders that made a good amount of money in Punk Strategies, said, hey, let me run over to BNB real quick, put this big profit, $50,000, $80,000 into or one of these established BNB coins, because they're about to pump these, and they maybe caught it at like 50 million or 100 million and ran it to 150, 200 million. For them, that's big. So I think it could definitely flow back into this token, especially whenever they see it could be cheap. And so and then Node Monks can really start something new too here and say, hey, maybe people should raise, if you have a collection, maybe raise some money for the treasury and then buy, because that's how the DATs really work. They raise the money to be able to buy the tokens. And so I actually think the way that Ordinals are doing it is the correct way to do it.
Yeah, no, 100%. But let's just say you just don't want to deal with like the raising the money. Do you think this is a good idea? Taking, minting a Rune 100% of it, heading over to dot swap, putting, let's just say, I don't know, like 10 grand and the token with zero supply on the market. And then because you can actually set your fees on dot swap, I believe, on the Nexus, and you can set it at 10%. You maybe see something like that happening, to where people just say, hey, there's 100% of there's no sell pressure on this token because no one has it until it's bought here. You just put that with some Bitcoin, you lock in, load it, and say, hey guys, every bit of this 10% I'm buying bitmaps with, or I'm buying frogs with, right?
I think that for the TokenWorks team, it worked, but I think because of what Node Monks did, because here's a situation. If you're thinking about that, you got to think about this. Node Monks is in a position right now that they're about to go live. So one of two things is about to happen. Number one, they're going to have big success and they're going to thrive. This thing, could really get momentum going. It'll positively affect the Bitcoin ecosystem, Ordinals more specifically. And others will see that as being the standard way of doing it. So you can't really do it the other way at this point, because they've already shown that this is a successful recipe and formula to do it. Or two, they don't have success with this, launch that they're having, which still puts you in the same position to not be able to do it. Because if you can't have success with funds that are already raised, how are you going to have success in the Bitcoin ecosystem doing it with nothing? and people can say, well, you saw Punk Strategy have success. I think they had success because they were very first ones to do it. They had a smart contract and they did it kind of quietly. Like, and so, once people started to see, and maybe they had a group of people kind of pump it initially, get it to 5 million, 8 million, and then they start to talk about it. But I do think like Node Monks having success tonight is could change how these strategy tokens are ever launched again.
Yeah, with the raise, like Pudgy, maybe the next Pudgy, or maybe you see another one come in, Punk Strategy, and say, hey, we're gonna do the same thing, by a different company, right? Maybe even like a whale, right? And a Punk Strategy. So yeah, you're right. I mean, that could happen too. But I mean, I would actually participate in that if somebody was doing a Frogs one where 100% of the token was put in the LP pool. I mean, and they're saying they're gonna buy Frogs with it. I mean, I think you could start at like a 10K market cap. Right. I mean,
So
it's seriously.
that's what some of the guys, the ones that were started on Radfi want to do. They've been talking with yeah, they've been talking with with Scott to do the 10% fee. And Puppet Strategy was trying to do that, but then they unfortunately exited last night, saying that he had to end up using his own money to keep it going and all this stuff. And so then you have the Frog Strategy underneath it, and it has.
Yeah, but you can't do it in a pump way. Like you can't. You got to just mint the token to 100% of the token, right? Unless you mint it all to yourself.
100% of the token, and then you're saying you put like 100% of the token into a liquidity pool with $10,000 of Bitcoin.
But it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter how much it is, right? So it can be $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, right? Because there's no sell pressure, because there's no tokens available to sell. So it's just like, and then you put that 10%, right? So obviously, the more people come in and they start buying it, the more the price goes up of the token, because now you have just pressure going up, and then you take 10% of all the buy and sells.
I mean, I guess what you're saying is do like a free and fair type of situation, except for doing it within like dot swap and then having them configure the 10% buy in and sell the fee structure. Yeah, that
You know what I mean?
if
First
that
come,
could be
first
done,
serve.
if that could be done, yeah, then yeah, actually that would be very, very interesting, because now it's just basically if you believe in this model, if you believe in it, and then it would have to obviously go back to who's being who's stewarding the fees, who's the one that's gonna be. I think you gotta really be transparent with that part. But yeah, I mean, I think that's actually not a bad idea, and maybe other people should do that in general.
Why not?
Yeah, and with some of these runes to get them going, because that could actually make trading a lot more.
Yeah, well, I don't think you can do it with like. You're not talking about creating a strategy for a rune, right? So I don't think that would work.
No, not for a rune, but like if you were to start it off with liquidity or something like that, then whenever people buy with Bitcoin, then a certain percentage of it goes into that liquidity pool just from the jump. So like you're taking the someone mints out the entire supply, and then you're just basically launch like how you're launching a regular token back on Ethereum in 2021. Obviously, no smart contract.
So yeah, I don't know. It's just an idea that I was thinking about. Potentially, I might even do it, dude. I mean, why not, right? And because I'm doxxed, right? I mean, I'll buy the asset, right? I don't know. Seems pretty cool. Just got to find an asset that I want to do it with. But yeah, that's just an idea. All right. Let's move along though. Okay, this one's really cool. Omnity puts an entire Bitcoin Ordinals Indexer on chain, unlocking trustless, censorship-resistant NFTFi through ICP's chain fusion. All right, so let's kind of dig into this a little bit. So the original indexer was created by Casey. We do know that it is a centralized indexer that he is doing himself. He went and indexed everything since the Genesis block, and every Satoshi has a number. And everything has a serial number, basically, all the way. That's how we're tracking rare sats and everything. And that's how we're doing everything. So the guys at Omnity actually went out and they did exactly what Casey did, except one thing is they put it on the ICP blockchain. by putting it on the IC blockchain, every time there's a Bitcoin block, it is locked in. There is no changing it, which means that's exactly how a blockchain works, exactly why we are able to trade. There is no double spending or anything like that. So you're able to lock in every transaction that happens on the the Ordinals Indexer, but it's on chain, and there is no central party anymore because ICP chain is that. How big is this for the Ordinals ecosystem?
I like it, but I'm not sure Casey's going to like it, right? And because it is using ICP to decentralize his indexer, but ICP, as long as they are following all of the rules of ordinals and what is considered an inscription and what isn't and all those things, then I feel like this could be a big solution to a huge pain point, if people are okay with ICP being a scaling solution for ordinals, inscriptions, and that layer of Bitcoin, or that part of Bitcoin, right? But I do think that it does show ICP's capability and really just digging into the deep utility of ICP, because it does have it reads Bitcoin, so it can read every transaction that comes through every block, and it can determine what's an inscription and what isn't, what's a rare stat and what isn't, what's all these things, and index them accordingly, right? And so, yeah, look, I think it's cool. We'll see if people adopt it, because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, right? It's weird. We have this weird thing to where like technology has to match a certain level of approval, but then the marketing has to be there. If the marketing's not there, then it won't succeed, even if the tech is there and it's needed, which is unfortunate, but that's just how the market works over here.
Yeah. I don't think it needs to be adopted, though. I just think that this legitimizes ordinals, as when people say people like one of the big faults of ordinals. Hey, yeah, you use these off-chain indexers that people control, and it's not any longer, right? It's actually on a blockchain. It's not on the Bitcoin blockchain, but it's on another blockchain, which is a trustless blockchain that it's all it's doing is reading the data and putting it there. Louis Liu, who is, I think he's the head of Definity, founder of Omnity Network, built on ICP. So he said, I'm thrilled to announce the launch of the OnChain Ordinals Indexer, the latest contribution from Omnity Network to the open source community after overcoming countless engineering challenges. So it wasn't easy for them to do this. The Ordinals Indexer has indexed all the Bitcoin blocks since Genesis, utilizing nearly 200 gigabytes of on-chain storage from Definity Internet Computer. Yet another testament to ICP's remarkable on-chain computation and storage capability. So they're using ICP to actually store everything as well. I mean, this is the biggest thing to happen in Ordinals that nobody is talking about. And the only reason I seen it because Bob Bodley tweeted it. Like off-chain indexers like Casey's require trust. You depend on the operator to report the inscription data. Honestly, you don't need any. There's no trust factors anymore. Ordinals now is legit as it's ever been.
Yeah, I think the problem that they're going to have now is they have to win maxis over to say, this is. You should trust ICP. You should trust ICP's tech stack. You should trust it's trust minimized to your standard or whatever, and they'll come back and say nothing matches Bitcoin standard, and you'll have these wars or whatever. But I think it doesn't matter, because those people weren't going to be using this type of stuff anyways. So the people that would use this type of stuff, I think you have a better chance of getting them onboarded with this. But I think if for people that are listening in, I mean, you got to at least have an open mind to see how this is going to allow assets on Bitcoin that are really not movable very much, right? Not very flexible at all, become very flexible with this, adopting this type of technology into it. So I'm excited to see what comes out of this, right? Because this is pretty cool, but like what projects start to utilize this in their smart contracts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, and this is huge too, because one of the big players in the space, in the NFT space, is OpenSea, and OpenSea has not listed an ordinal because of the centralization of the indexer, right? So now that argument is out the window now, because now they can just have their their APIs with this. So now you don't have to trust Casey at all. There is no trusting at all anymore ever. This legitimizes everything that we've done here over the past 12 months, 16 months, whatever it was. And this legitimizes, Casey can walk away at this point. Casey can shut down his indexer now. I mean, he won't, but I'm just saying, like, if something would happen to Casey and Rav and no one has access to the indexer, we don't need them anymore. That's another big thing there as well.
So that's big in general, right? Because we won't have a counterparty situation happen again. And that's
Exactly.
whenever like the founder of Counterparty, which is a meta protocol on Bitcoin, stopped building or stopped their indexer. And you have obviously rare pepes and stuff continually lived on and still do well, especially the rare ones. But this will allow that data to constantly be added to the ledger in those smart contract or smart canisters that they use over on ICP, right? So, but I do think I agree with you. I don't think Casey stops, and he might like throw a little shade on this because it's not Bitcoin, but I think he should probably be grateful that like if something were to happen to him or Raf or the way that their system works, that you have this backup right now, at least, right? Which may one day be the main thing, not a backup.
And you can add this because Casey did say he wanted to decentralize the indexers, right? Having a whole bunch of people running nodes and running the indexers as nodes instead, but there's no reward to do that, right? You have to create a token for that. There's no reward. Now, I mean, the reward for running the ICP network is the ICP token, right? So it's one of those things where it's already incentivized. So like this is like perfect. He can actually add this as one of the indexers that is using the index to kind of make it even more decentralized. I don't know. I think this is, again, I was repeating myself again, but this is the biggest innovation in ordinals that potentially we've ever seen.
It is, and it's using a different tech stack, but it's also using one that's and a lot of those builders, Omnity, and these builders, they're really into finding solutions for Bitcoin too. So that's another thing too, man. You got to appreciate that. So
Really
be
dope.
open-minded and listen in and see if this is something that can help the overall ecosystem.
100%. All right. Okay, here we go. Trump token issuer Fight Fight LLC plans to raise at least $200 million to create a digital asset treasury company accumulating the token. So the Trump token is failing. It's just dropping every day. But Fight LLC, we do know is a friend of Donald Trump's. They want to raise $200 million. So I just don't understand this. Like, how are you just going to raise $200 million? Are they going to go public? Do you think?
They could go public. I wonder how far it's fallen though. It's still over $1 billion market cap, right?
I think it's like 800 million. I don't think it's over $1 billion anymore.
So 1.5 billion.
Oh wow. Okay, it's a lot higher than I thought.
Yeah, it's kind of sideways right now too. So
yeah.
I don't know how they would raise 200 million. Maybe just through it says asset registry a DAT, right? So
yeah,
they would have to follow those kind of they would follow those blueprints that other DATs have formed through and raising. The one thing I will say is though that they probably have a good network, because they got the approval to be able to do this and launch this token.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it past them that they can raise some money. 200 million's a decent amount, but 1.5 billion right now market cap.
Not that bad.
Yeah, but I think at the all-time high was like 10 or something, right? Something pretty crazy.
70? No.
Was it?
I think it was insane, yeah.
Wow.
I could be wrong. Maybe it was 7? I don't remember. It was, I mean, we're talking January at this point.
No, you're right. You're right. 70.
70?
No. Sorry. Not 70. It's 10 times 1, so 10 billion.
Okay.
Because it's about 10 billion. Right
I know it was high, but damn. All right. Canary files S1 amendment for Litecoin and HBAR spot ETFs for 95 bips fees. Tickers are LTCC. So they're getting the tickers ready. HBR. Bloomberg's Eric Balkunas says this is typically the final step before launch. So Eric's basically saying that, hey, we're going to be getting Canary S1 amendment, and that's basically going to push this through on the generic ruling. And we could potentially see an HBAR and a Litecoin ETF later this month. How do you feel about Litecoin and HBAR being the next two?
They've been around for a long time. Maybe they, Litecoin specifically. I know HBAR kind of started to come up to the surface more last cycle, but there's reasons why I think they both are kind of looking at these. Litecoin has been around forever, right? And it's really established asset. It's not going anywhere. I think it's going to appreciate over time. And then HBAR has that like huge corporate style backing. So I think these are two solid ones that they selected based off of kind of unique criteria to each of them, but criteria that they probably look for. You know what I mean? There's like, how long has the asset been around? Okay, so it's pretty much legacy, meaning that it's not going to die. It seems to appreciate, even though it's a slower rate than some of these other ones, it does appreciate over time. Okay, that one's good. HBAR, huge financial backing, very, very innovative, very corporate style, but they look forward to the future. They're very forward thinking. And so I think these are two solid picks, actually.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is a good way to start, especially for TradFi. But I'm surprised not to see Solana in there. But Solana did say they have 100% approval rate. They're going to be so they're going to be coming as well. So might not see it far after that. But this is from Canary. That could be some other provider as well. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says, "Don't be surprised if Bitcoin hits 300,000 this cycle, likely within the next 12 to 24 months." So Larry's actually saying the cycle ends right here. He's saying it ends in the next halving. Do you think that? Do you potentially see us kind of running into the next halving? Larry Fink's predicting 300K, but he wouldn't be surprised if it hit that.
I mean, the 12 to 24 months is crazy. But I mean, it could extend out. That would definitely break our, view perspective of a 4-year cycle, right? Because if you go for another 2 years here, it's just not typical of how the price action would be. You know what I mean? And so one thing that's interesting though is that like whenever we started to cover the Bitcoin ecosystem, Bitcoin's price, and this was the summer of 2023, right? So technically you still had a year until the halving. And so the price was, I think, around low 20,000s for a while. It got towards the end of the year, it started to pick up, got to 30, 40 around there. And then the beginning of 2024 was whenever things really picked up because of the ETF launching, right? So if you look at it like that, it's kind of like there was a crash in 2022 that was pretty aggressive. It brought Bitcoin to wick down to 16,000. And then there was this recovery period, and Ordinals was kind of born through that. But then throughout 2023, which is not a typical year of bullishness, you would think, at least if you have this 4-year cycle mentality, Bitcoin did pick up, and it started to pick up because it had to recover though at the same time. But maybe that's just a part of it, right? So do we get the 2022 peel back? That's what the question is, because he's saying 12 to 24 months. If that extends to 24 months and we're rising up to 300,000, then no, we don't get the peel back, the aggressive sell down, and it's going to break the perception and how we view 4-year cycles.
Well, I think we have to break that perception because now we have TradFi. TradFi, if you look at the S&P, if you look at gold, if you look at NASDAQ, if you look at all their items, they don't have these pullbacks. They go up to the right forever, right? I mean, they have these little drawbacks, but very similar to this, right? Very similar to this. But so what if we just get this forever now? We no longer get the massive move up, the giant dump. Maybe we just get these 120, 150, 180, 190, 200, 400, 700, you know what I mean? And just all the way up.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be some pullbacks in between, just healthy corrections or whatever. But, and then this reminds me of the gold, ETF and what that changed the trajectory of gold. If you look at the volatility previous to the ETF and the volatility post ETF, it was very, very different. Yeah. And so that could be what we're going into. The ETF launched in early 2024, and we've experienced almost 2 full years, say a year and about 8 months since it launched. So I think it's about time for it to kind of have that new way it reacts and volatility kind of being pushed away, because yes, Bitcoin does swing, but it once you going up 14,000 and then swinging back 6, yes, that's volatile. But going from 60,000 to 16, or what I mean, that is something I don't know if we see that. And think of that more in the percentage perspective, because I think Bitcoin's held up pretty fine up until now, right?
Yeah.
Since the ETF started. So it's been pretty you showed that monthly chart comparable to gold. And gold is definitely like looks way cleaner, not way cleaner, but cleaner for sure. But Bitcoin does look pretty clean there. You know what I mean? That's a pretty clean uptrend, with 1 month really just kind of in the middle there that put a damper on things.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's jump to the next thing here. MetaMask launches in-wallet perps trading through Hyperliquid. This happens today, starting up. Do you think this is going to be used as something that you're going to use potentially?
I mean, I don't use it on Phantom. I don't know why. And Phantom makes it not easy, by the way. Like you have to search for it. I still don't even know where it is in there. And so if MetaMask makes this like an easy, transparent, like upfront type of thing, I think that would allow them to beat Phantom in it, because like I said, like Phantom makes it not easy. So I think they got to make sure that they make it very clear of where it is, how to access it, and then I would consider it, because it's more convenient in that case. And humans
and points, right?
Points, and humans are attracted to convenience. They want their life to be more convenient.
Yeah, 100%. For me, it'd just be about the points. I am not a perps trader, but I'll trade perps for points. You know what I mean? So I think the mass token. So I actually might do like weekly longs on here, or weekly, and just kind of, if I'm bullish, if Bitcoin dumps a bit, just going a little long there with like low money, high leverage, and just kind of if I get liquidated, whatever, because I'm just chasing the points. But I think it's something I'll use.
Yeah, I mean, I think people will probably use it for the points, and that was smart for them to integrate that into the point system, because it'll kind of put people to try to use it more. You know what I mean? So
100%. Ethena Labs is the final thing here. Ethena Labs introducing Jupe USD, the native stablecoin of the Jupiter exchange ecosystem built on the Ethena Stablecoin-as-a-Service stack. So we do know Ethena was one of the ones who tried to get the Hyperliquid stablecoin. They were unsuccessful, but now they went and they talked to Jupiter. Jupiter is, to me, is like very underrated, right? I think Jupiter is going to be one of the biggest players in the leverage game. And then you have potentially this Jupe USD. Is this interesting to you?
I think it's big that Jupiter has their stable coin. Because that's obviously a revenue stream that institutions and businesses are trying to add to their multiple streams of revenue, right? So in terms of perps and stuff, they've been the leader in Solana. But I agree. I think Jupiter is going to be that's a project that I'm bullish about with the Solana ecosystem, that gets overshadowed by some of the BS that Pump Fund gets highlighted so much for, and all these meme coin launch pads. But like Jupiter is like a fundamental foundation type of protocol that offers true DeFi and perps and leverage for that ecosystem, and they should be highlighted more. But I don't think they care, because it's like kind of like how Aave is, and it's kind of like how these other DeFi protocols, they're just like taking care of their business, their streams of revenue, and it doesn't matter to them. All the other stuff, of course they want to participate in being able to be the LP that these pump launch pads go to, because they earn revenue from them. But I'm bullish on them, and I think Ethena has this program now, right? So Ethena stablecoin, that's a good thing about like covering these kind of headlines and stuff.
Yeah,
we covered this, I think, I want to say like a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, that they were coming out with this service. But now we're seeing it in action, and I'm going to be paying attention to Ethena and see who else they partner with for this, because this is going to be a big source of revenue for them.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they're they're the one getting the yield, right? So they're gonna buy treasuries and get that yield. So the more people that use this, one, Jupiter doesn't have to custody their funds. They can just say, hey, we have a trusted third party, and then but that trusted third party is gonna be earning the fees. I'm sure Jupiter will get some of it, right? It'll get some kind of part of this deal for having this. But then they have a stable coin and an in-house one that they control. So they can put pools with this and liquidity pools and stuff like that. So which could really benefit them in the long run. But yeah, I think this is good. I think to your point, you said Jupiter is one of the biggest DeFi protocols out there, and I think it is very underlooked. Because Solana DeFi is underlooked. Like people talk about, there's no opportunity in the market. It's like there's DeFi on Solana. Yeah, it's not sexy. Yeah, it's not gonna 100x. But if you're interested in putting a few $1,000s in there and coming back in 10 years, I think Jupiter will still be there. Right. So
yeah, just like Aave, right? Because we heard about Aave and Compound in 2020 and 2021, and they might not be loud today, but we go to DeFi Llama, we see that they're doing, hundreds of millions, if not billion in TVL. So,
yep. And in a bull run, they could 3-4x, right? 5x, 6x maybe. And that's, to a lot of bigger player investors who have a lot of money in that, that's huge for them. But let's get into today's crypto fear and greed. So last week we were at a 42. Yesterday we're at a 62. We're very neutral today. What do you think we're at him for you? We're definitely in the mid 50s. A little higher. We're at 55. We're sitting there neutral here. Do you feel neutral? I guess I feel neutral.
I feel neutral, and I feel a little weird.
Yeah.
And I say that because I felt really bullish heading into Monday with Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then we saw the kind of dump happen, and then you see liquidity getting sucked to BNB, and it's weird because it's like a mix of like greed but also bearishness, because there's no liquidity for any other ecosystem right now, and so it's just a weird feeling. But that's with an expectation that we're in October and we should see alts in other ecosystems start to thrive. Like whenever we saw it last October in 2024, it was multiple ecosystems, by the way. Like Runes actually kind of were one of the earlier ones that started to kick things off. Then you saw Solana really quick, Dog Whiff, and all these things. So we got to kind of get away from really sucking all liquidity into the central area, and then just that actually kills, in my opinion, more morale. Even though I think Solana probably deserves a little bit of this, because I think they need to be humbled a little bit. But whenever you just gravitate all of it to one place, it doesn't feel like a bull run. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like how bull runs felt in the past, and especially the last one that we had. And so I'm waiting for that to happen to where I'm some stuff is running over here and some stuff is running over here. Yes, this one might be running really strong, but then, things are okay in these other areas. That's the moment that I'm waiting for, because right now I just kind of feel a little weird because of everything's concentrated on BNB, and Bitcoin and Ethereum are trying to figure out what they're doing. So maybe it's going to take the US to really start to get into risk on. And I think that's going to be a part of it, because if you have China in risk on right now, and then you have US coming into risk on, then that will take care of some of that liquidity being spread out in other areas.
Yeah, especially because the U.S. is kind of one of the leading indicators for a lot of countries, right? Like the countries didn't start hiking their rates up until the U.S. did. Countries didn't start dropping the rates until the U.S. did, right? So if the U.S. enters quantitative easing, you might see England and Germany and Australia and all these other countries as well kind of get into that as well.
Normally, yes, but then this time they actually were jumping the gun. You had France, and you had the UK actually cut rates in the summer and stuff, and Japan's on the opposite. They're kind of being still very careful, but these other countries were cutting rates and stuff, so they actually jumped the gun. But I just don't know if Europe has money. Maybe they don't. Maybe, you know what I mean? It's just not that, I do believe Europe relies on the US a lot, and we're starting to see it now, because it was that whole globalist type network, you know what I mean? It was the West, right? And that all starts with the consumer market here.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's get into the Bitcoin price action and find out exactly what is going on with the action and the crypto bubbles. But it's brought to you guys by the great people at Artura.finance. Artura, I talked about earlier, I only do leverage if I'm earning points, and that's what I'm doing with Artura. I'm over here, I'm earning points over here. I'm in a trade right now. Oh, I was in a trade. There you go. There's my trade. $35 right now. I just left it up. Let's let it cook. But I'm in a trade right now. I'm just kind of hanging out here. I'm trying to get on this list here. This list is really important. Becoming the top 5, potentially going to get a nice airdrop. $5,000 the first place, and the second, third, fourth, and fifth share the other 5,000 plus some ARA tokens. And I think being on this list could potentially get you some ARA tokens as well. I definitely want you guys to be on this list. So get over here, make one trade. You're seeing a lot of people just make one trade and be 10th, 8th, 9th, 10th place because they're earning a little bit and you're getting on here. Highly recommend that. You come over here, you go to trade. Right now, you can trade only Bitcoin and Ethereum. You can take that and you can kind of play with it there. Eventually, they're going to be adding more. But guys, head over to Artura.finance. Remember, Botonics is doing the biggest Bitcoin airdrop ever. So by playing on Botonics, we're playing on Artura, you're going to be getting some Bitcoin as well. So definitely be a part of that if you're interested. Check out Artura.finance today.
Yes, sir. And before we get into the price action, help us out, guys, on the YouTube side. Smack that like for us and subscribe to the channel. Same thing on X. Share the space. Hit that like as well. And let's talk about some Bitcoin price action here, right? We are starting with the hour chart. It does seem like we have kind of restarted the uptrend. This was very steep. It was just pretty much straight down. So that was very, very interesting. That happened on Monday. Or I would say Tuesday. Tuesday is when it happened. So yeah, early morning yesterday, right? But like I said, it did find kind of its footing here, at least on the hour chart. And a good thing that I'm seeing is that it looked like it was going to come out of buy pressure only to kind of pop back up. So let's kind of keep our eye on this and see if we have a continuation of this from the MACD. It's at least showing that we want to. We need to see the stochastics pop above the overbought territory, though, to get that confirmation, in my opinion. If you look at support and resistance of where we are currently, going back to, let's go back to yesterday at like 6 p.m. because that gives us a little bit of a mixed bag of, you know, some of the bearishness that we had yesterday, and then going into the bullishness here. So it looks like the levels that we're at, supports definitely come back. 122.6, pretty much 700, dominating this area. Pretty high volume too. So almost to the peak area there. So looking really good there. Above that, we got at the 122.800 support, just leading the way all the way up to the 120, right under 123, where it gets rebalanced, but lower volume, thinner liquidity. So we could definitely pop back up. So I like what I'm seeing so far in the hour chart. Below that, do we have support catching it? And we do. Support seems to be really running the show on the you know, these lower prices as well, price point areas. So it's really about getting above here, kind of running through this area, and then having some larger buy bids pushing us up to cross 123 again. Hopefully that's the case. We shall see. The 4-hour chart looks like it's trying to get a pretty setup, going here. It looks like the sell pressure is breaking down here. So that would be great if we did get back across the 123 area, because then this would just really solidify that in the next 8 hours, right? The next couple candles here. So right now the setup isn't quite there to where I say it's like, you know, really good looking. I'd say it's starting to set up that way. But as you know, this can turn around very quickly, and I would need this to kind of curl up a bit more in the next candle on the MACD to be a little bit smaller and start that buy pressure, right? So it looks like the setup is trying to form. So I like how the 4-hour looks right now. The daily looks like we're still in that buy pressure, but it's weekend, of course, from yesterday. Today seems to pick back up, so I could see this kind of reverse back to the upside as well. That would be great, obviously, to see Bitcoin kind of thriving, but we could be eventually starting our next leg up, because as you see here, there's some sideways in between. This is kind of where the uptrend started on the daily chart back in April. It was definitely more volatile. It was like green day, red day, green day, red day. We're not getting that necessarily, but maybe we go into a little bit of that. But the exciting thing is, whenever you see legs like this, which is primarily like one color, right? Right now it's obviously on the upside, so it's all green, and you're in a bullish phase of the year, and this is the start of Q4. You eventually get a follow-up leg, right? So that is what I'm expecting here. Now, the sideways action, that's what I think we got to figure out. Do we get another red day, another green day? And eventually, though, the good news is, in my opinion, is we get another similar leg to this that comes up to continue the Q4. So I like where Bitcoin is currently. Ethereum on the hour looks like it's struggling a little bit here with the buy pressure. It did seem like it wants to kind of open back up. Not as aggressive as Bitcoin, but you do see that the coloration went back to darker green here. And so we could see this kind of open back up. But this sell pressure was deep yesterday for Ethereum, right? And so we did find our footing with Ethereum, just like Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin really going to have to lead Ethereum until we get to that second leg that I was talking about with Bitcoin. But yeah, Ethereum looks good in my opinion on the hour chart. You know, as long as we have that continuation on Bitcoin to get to 123 and higher, Ethereum will slowly probably follow behind it, right? We get back possibly back over 4,500, that kind of thing there. And then the 4-hour chart is definitely similar to Bitcoin, but less of a bullish setup. Again, you know, it's going to slowly follow Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's a bullish setup right here that I was showing you does play out and it starts to curl up, then expect Ethereum to follow behind it. So that's what it looks like there on the 4-hour chart. The daily looks like it could bust back open. So very, very similar to Bitcoin, right? That's kind of what we're waiting on, is to see what happens with Bitcoin. And then let me get into these crypto bubbles for you guys. The crypto bubbles is top 100, a little bit of a mixed story here. I would say about 60 to 40, 60% bullish, 40% pullback. Some notables here: CoAI up 45.5%, SPX up 8.4%. You have the BitGet token up 4% there. Monero up 6.4%. That's interesting. And you got Meme Core back in the green here, up 2.6%. Stuff that has pulled back, the Weibo token, HTX pulled back 1.3% there. You have OP pulling up 1.2%, BNB up 1.5%, right under 1,300 there. Pump is down 5.2%. So I think yesterday Pump was green, but I wonder, so if this momentum continues for BNB and the Binance Smart Chain, if we do see Pump go on a little bit of a red streak here, we could see that. XPL pulling back 5.3% here. You know, this is the Plasma token. Then you have Story Protocol IP pulling back about 5%. And Pepe pulling back 2.1%, with Aster pulling back 1.8%. Let's look at the top 200 here. Top 200, Useless is up 36%, and that's shocking to me because it is a Solana. And in fact, it's a bonk meme coin. It's sitting at $357 million market cap. So the Useless bonk guy, this is the token he always tries to shield and pump. You got Cheems up 46.3%, right? So Cheems is up there. AIA up 30% there. You got Toshi up 8.8%. ZK up 4.3%. Falcon Finance pulling back 12.1%. And Farcoin pulling back 3% there. You got Merlin Chain. It's really kind of staying strong around 36 cents. So the fluctuations have been really minimal on the percentage side. I mean, if you look on the daily, it just went even there. So which is, in my opinion, I think that's a good sign, especially whenever things pulled back. You got Snek token pulling back 2.3%, Dog Whiff pulling back 1.8%. Let's talk about the Pulse Chain tokens here. Pulse Chain is down 1.9%. And you got Hex pulling down 5.2% there. So yeah, that is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of these alts for you guys. And remember, if you ever need us to check an alt for you, put it in the chat and I will definitely look it up.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. Yes. Anybody in the comments, just if you have anything in there, put it in there. Not seeing anything in there right now, but yeah, if you guys are interested in that, but jump in the roll call here. And each and every day, we take the first comment of the day on YouTube and we put it on a spreadsheet. Today, congratulations is the main guy, my man Webdro. You now have win number 48, tying Lackey Lukey with 48. So now we have a tie in here at this spot. So shout out to you guys, man. Lackey Lukey has, so 48. So shout out to WebDro, shout out to Lackey Lukey, lock you in, buddy. And then we have Tim Baker here. Shout out to Tim Baker. He said WebDro got a ribbit, he said, and then ribbit again. One plus ad is here's a CZ Too Smart. Merlin's Lucky is here. Rare Sats Dom, my guy. ASAP Benji. We got Bitcoin is Truth. Abstract, my guy. Chips and Dip. Vader Time says Binance dumping. Yeah. Spindrift says cycle is over. Pack it in. That's very negative, bro. Satoshi Nakamoto is here. Lackey Lukey is here. GM, congrats, WebDro. And then we have myself. Myself says Solana had a great run. It's time for other chains to shine. Maybe this is the first of the new chains to shine. What do you think about his comment here?
I think that's possible. Do you think Solana would ever like change the culture there, or will it always be the same, you think? In terms of like because it's split, right? Majority of the attention that's being grabbed though consistently is the degen culture. That's pretty extreme. Do you think that ever changes?
So I want it to. So do I think or do I want, right? Do I think
No.
it
What do you think? You're like your honest opinion of
yeah.
thinking if it changes.
I think if a new meta comes along, if there's a new meta that comes along and Solana is one of the quick can adapt it, then yeah, I do. But if we don't see any innovation this cycle, because we really haven't seen any innovation, if the cycle stays pretty much how it is, then I don't really see it becoming anything more than a meme coin launchpad chain. With that, culture of just dumping on everybody. You are seeing stable coins being printed there every day. You're seeing a lot of DeFi protocols growing. But if DeFi as a service doesn't really come into fruition like I think it's going to, then yeah, I don't know. But if DeFi can pick up, and I think Solana can be one of the leaders.
Yeah, which is a sad thing because you're hearing about some updates with Hive Mapper being like a foundational like platform where people are building on top of it. It gets ignored. It doesn't even really get talked about much. And then, you have these good builders and it just gets overshadowed by that. But to answer your question really quick, yes, I do think that, people are going to get bored of that culture and they're going to look for something more to believe in.
Yeah, 100%. Hydrosapien says GM guys. Gary D says Bitmap. Yeah, Bitmap's up 100%. Went from $10 to $20. That's pretty crazy. A shout out to the Bitmappers. Dude, they should do a Bitmap strategy, bro. Like, you don't even gotta raise money. Just go to the dot swap, talk to Johnny, just be like, yo, I want to do a 10% fee. And you can potentially buy, one Bitmap for every sale. $20. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. Like, I don't know, man. You guys should really think about doing that.
But do it this way, in my opinion. And I just want to squeeze this in. If you do a token like that, put a website out there that doesn't cost much.
Yes.
It's like, $20 for the domain, and then you could do $5 to $10 of hosting every month. That way, you have the information for people to go to one central place other than your X, and it'll make people take you more seriously. I think that's what some of these strategy tokens didn't include. That at least you have to have the bare minimum of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
and you can reach out to Sats Terminal and get their back end so where you can actually trade the token on that site, right? And only have that token listed on there, right? So potentially you can do that as well, all going through their aggregator.
Well, I think you would have to do a 10% token fee for Sats Terminal.
Well, it's going through the pool.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's right.
Aggregating the pool
That's
from
right.
dot swap. So
that's right. So whatever is configured on dot swap. Okay, dot swap. I thought you meant the Radfi. Okay, yeah. Either way, if they start aggregating from dot swap too, that it would work that way too. Or sorry,
that's
Radfi.
what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Reach out to Johnny over at dot swap. So yeah, I want to do this fee 10%. I'm sure they could do it for you, pretty easily, right? So
and just send it all to one wallet. That would be the purchase wallet, which you should also
or even a claim. You would have to do a claim because that's how dot swap does the fees. For if you have an LP, you'll have a claim thing, and you just claim the fees whenever you want, right? So
yeah.
And then you can actually, you can be transparent. Hey guys, just claimed, 0.002 Bitcoin buying 20 bitmaps, right? So, boom. Nocturnal GM note strategy just posted a trading will start. Yeah, they actually posted that and then they actually deleted it and put 11 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, unfortunately now it's 11 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, I think the head guys there are in China, so they're kind of like they're definitely putting it. They know China runs shit, right? they want China to be like awake and ready for this, so they don't care about the U.S. All right, then we got Cash Cats in here, coffee and the donuts and the dog go to the moon. Shout out to Cash. He's almost missed it. So busy with fiat mine today. Shout out to Cash Cats out there mining fiat on a daily basis, my guy. I appreciate you, my friend. But yeah, that's our let's roll call for you guys today. Let's kind of get into our next thing here. So every Wednesday, we like to have the great guys on over at Sats Terminal join the show. They will not be joining us today, but we're going to be covering some updates and stuff that they've been doing lately. Sats Terminal, in our opinion, is one of the biggest winners in the Bitcoin ecosystem. They're one of the few builders who are actually, one, still here, two, thriving, and three, actually innovating with their Bitcoin lending protocol and everything else. But let's jump over to satsterminal.com and kind of check out what is going on. Yeah, my screen. But yeah, so this is satsterminal.com. Obviously, we talk about them every day, but you can swap, trade Bitcoin native assets. You can, borrow as well, borrow and lend, and then you can earn. But let's go to trade, because trade now you can actually go to Spark. So Spark is officially live. You can now trade the 2 Spark tokens that are available, UTXO and FSPS. This one is coming from the UTXO fund pool, and this one is coming from the Luminex pool. So we do have 2 pools right now. Luminex is somebody who actually is going to be launching a launchpad very soon. And let me sign in my wallet so you guys can see what they're building here. So they're going to have new stretch and graduate it, and you'll be able to get all that through Sats Terminal. And then you go to UTXO Fund, and then they're going to have their launchpad dropping very, very soon as well. But once these tokens are available on their swaps, so they're going to be, once they get from the launchpad to the liquidity pool, that is when you're going to be able to get them through the Sats Terminal. So very, very bullish on Sats Terminal, very bullish on how clean this looks too.
Yeah, I mean, I expected it to be smooth because that's how they've done every fungible token standard, right? Bitcoin fungible token standard. So, I truly think this is gonna be like the one-stop shop. So this is gonna be a tool that you need in your toolbox once these tokens really start to catch momentum. And I think most of us are expecting them to catch momentum because you got big brands that are gonna have their own launchpad. Magic Eden, Luminex, UTXO.fund has big backing in terms of social influence, right, with businessman.eth. So you want it to be as efficient as possible, and I think Sats Terminal is going to play a big part in that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think this is huge too, because like one of the big things with Luminex, right? You have to have this inside wallet where I have to deposit into here, right? I can't use my Xverse here. UTXO.fund, same thing. I have to unlock my wallet. I got to put my password in, which is very, very annoying. And then I got all this other stuff, right? But I don't need to do that with Sats Terminal, because I can just go to Sats Terminal. I can connect my Xverse wallet, which I have connected here, just my normal Xverse wallet, and then I can just convert my Bitcoin into Spark Bitcoin, and then boom, just use this here. Fast. It's seconds, right? It's very, very quick, and you guys can potentially do any coin available in and out people. So that's pretty big. Did we cover everything for this?
Yeah. So that's something that you just want to stay keep your attention on with Sats Terminal, and the Spark ecosystem actually, because once they turn the key on for that, you have this ready, then you still want to participate in the launchpad if you want to get in pre-bond, right? But then like trading post bond is going to be important here, and also of course check out their Bitcoin borrowing and lending product there on their homepage. It's the once you open the app, it's the third link there, so you can actually get some stables against your Bitcoin and be ready to trade some of these Spark tokens, right? You can actually get more Bitcoin with the stables, and then transfer it over to be ready to trade there on Sats Terminal once those tokens are going to be migrated.
Yeah, 100%. Don't stop selling your Bitcoin, guys. When you sell your Bitcoin, you're selling it to BlackRock. You're selling it to these big asset managers who are just coming in the market and buying every single day. If you need liquidity, if you need to be liquid for whatever, borrow against your Bitcoin. With these loans, I mean, I'm in the warning part of it because I took out 70% of my loan, right? But that was on purpose, right? To kind of test it out. But you don't need to do that. You can go 50%. Like if you put it at 200, you can take out $100. So there's no chance you get liquidated, because we kind of just talked about that earlier about how stable Bitcoin has kind of been, and we might not see these boom and bust cycles. And if you do 50% of your TVL, you will never get liquidated. And Sats Terminal, they're going to be putting in email service and stuff like saying, hey, pay down your loan a little bit so you don't get liquidated. And that's one thing you can do. If you let's just say you just drop $10-$20 on your loan each week to pull your Bitcoin back out, that your liquidation price falls further and further away from even possible, right? So the more you pay off your loan, the lower your liquidation price is. So I highly recommend, if we do get to Bitcoin dropping 10-15% in one day, you might want to add a little bit money there. But this is loan management. This is something they do in TradFi when they borrow against their homes, when they borrow against their assets over there. It's very similar. This is what rich people do. The rich people do not, pay themselves. They take loans out, right? So that's just kind of another thing that they do until it's time for them to cash out. So if when Bitcoin hits 700K or next March or April, or maybe that's when you want to take some profit then. But I think it's just too early in the cycle to do that. And so borrow against your Bitcoin. Don't sell it.
Yeah. And make sure you're using the swap too to earn your Amber points. So we talk about farming a lot and stuff like that. That's the point structure for Sats Terminals, is using the swap. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. And we'll hit on them at the very end of the show as well, really quick. But definitely take advantage of the tools that are, in my opinion, the premier tool sets of the Bitcoin ecosystem, because there's a handful of them, and Sats Terminal is one of them.
Yeah, 100%. And go over to statsterminal.com. Do not sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. And that's our show for you guys today. We have about 341 people in here right now, 176 on X, 23 on YouTube, 142 on Twitch. Appreciate every single one of you guys, not to mention everyone on Kick, Abstract, Rumble, and Spotify later. Appreciate every single one of you guys, man.
Absolutely. We thank you guys so much for supporting us. Without you guys, we couldn't do this each and every day. So thank you so much for, continually watching and just supporting the channel, right? But without our partners, we also couldn't do this. So if you could check them out really quick, we would greatly appreciate it. Just went over Sats Terminal, so I'll hit on the highlights real quick. Statsterminal.com. If you're looking to swap for Bitcoin runes, alkanes, and Spark tokens, you actually swap for those Spark tokens right now. You got to do it at statsterminal.com. You can earn Amber points, and the only way to earn Amber points is through the swap right now, right? So any of those three, and then the Amber points will go towards a give back to early adopters. So you can kind of put 2 and 2 together there. And then also they have their Bitcoin borrowing and lending product there. You can take stables out against your Bitcoin. You don't have to sell it, and then you just pay that back, and then you can right, you can degen a little bit more without selling down your Bitcoin, is the idea with that. So head over to statsterminal.com to dive in there. And then Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer for the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to jump your Bitcoin ordinals to Ethereum, you can do so right now. And you can actually jump your Taproot wizards right now over to the Gandhi application on Ethereum, which is the largest NFT borrowing and lending platform over there. You can take a loan out against your Taproot wizards, as they have whitelisted that collection. I'm sure they're going to whitelist a couple others here. I think ordinals are going to have a hot streak coming up here in Q4, and that might be whenever they do whitelist those, right? And then you're going to use Emblem Vault to do that, to jump it over there. The Emblem Vault's going to open this up to other layer 2s as well, and eventually Solana. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in the Solana ecosystem with agenthustle.ai. Agent Hustle is an AI agent that will guide you through Solana. He can help you find you some 2 to 5x plays and give you reasons, detailed reasons why he thinks that these are solid plays, safer plays, right? Also, he has a conditional trading engine built in him, so you can set buy and sell limit orders, go do whatever you need to do. He'll take care of it for you. And so there are subscription levels. There's a free version. You don't get the full tool set there, but then there's the paid versions where you start to get more of the tool sets. And if you use the Hustle token, which is the single token that powers their entire ecosystem, the entire Emblem ecosystem, you will get a discount. So make sure you're taking advantage of Hustle, and you can try the free version just to, get a feel of how he works. But highly efficient, crypto agent, in my opinion, like I said, one of the best in the entire industry, definitely the best in Solana. And then there is another product as well called migrate.fund. If you have launched the token in the Solana ecosystem on Pump Fund or Bonk, and you need to migrate to the opposite, or just migrate it to Meteora to manage your own LP, because that's where you get the most of the trading fees, right? You got to use migrate.fund. They just are wrapping up their first cohort. They had tremendous success. Some big name projects actually migrated using them. Money, Tazeta, a couple others as well. You can check it out at migrate.fund to see kind of the experience for these teams. And if you're interested, reach out to the team. They'll get you set up and hopefully can get you into that second cohort. That should be starting soon as well. But head over to migrate.fund to learn how it works, and then head over to emblem.vision to learn about the entire ecosystem and product suite there. And then you got Artura.finance, which is the perps and leverage DEX of the Bitcoin ecosystem. They really pride themselves on being a perps and leverage DEX that are going to offer synthetic Bitcoin fungible tokens, Doggo to the Moon, tokens like that, as well as the synthetic derivatives, Coinbase, MicroStrategy, stuff like that. Also, they have a trading competition right now. First place gets 5,000 USDC, and then another 5,000 USDC gets split amongst the next several winners there. Also, 20,000 ARA tokens are going to be in that prize pool as well. Speaking of our ARA, that is the token that they had a TGE on for their platform. You can head over to Aerodrome on Base if you are interested in getting that token there. But the competition tab there shows you who's in the lead there for that that cash prize competition. Also, you will earn points by utilizing their perps platform. Botanics is tracking how many people are using it, and they're going to be doing a give back as well to their users as well. So head over to Artura.finance to learn more. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin's strength through the power of AI. They have their Wizard version 2.0 that will guide you through the entire Merlin ecosystem. It will do DeFi swaps and staking for you, right? It will also trade for tokens across chain. I think that's good. That's going to be so beneficial. Like once things are like liquidity is kind of more spread out everywhere, all you got to do is have some Merlin Bitcoin in your Merlin Chain wallet, and you can trade for Solana tokens on Solana, BNB tokens on BNB. You don't have to bridge over all that stuff. It'll handle it for you. So super exciting stuff. You got to take advantage of that stuff and the new technology that comes out in our space, because those are the projects that are ahead of the curve. Speaking of DeFi actions, there's a proof of stake model for the security model for Merlin Chain. You can participate in 3 ways. The first way is staking your Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. On average, for the first staking vault, they got 17% APR, which is absolutely amazing to stake Bitcoin and earn Bitcoin at a 17% APR rate. I think they're going to shoot for a little bit higher this time, but it is a range. I think they're shooting for 21%, but we'll see if they can accomplish that. Make sure you're following them on X so you can know exactly when they go live with the second staking vault there. And then there's 2 options to stake with Merlin Chain token, which is also thriving at the moment. There is a day-to-day flexible staking option here, 15% APR. You can claim the rewards every single day, and you can roll those into a compound interest strategy if you'd like. If you want to withdraw after you deposit into the staking vault, it does take 7 days to cool down. That's the cooldown period there. So don't freak out. That's just the cooldown period. You'll get your Merlin Chain tokens back and your rewards. You don't have to worry about that. Also, there is a 6-month period called the bonded period, which is a 45% APR. And then everything else works the same way as the day-to-day one, to where you can claim your rewards daily, roll those into a compound interest strategy if you'd like. And then make sure you go to merlinchain.io to really kind of see what they are doing. They're constantly innovating. They're taking advantage of the BTCFi market. A lot of institutions are involved with them and interested. $55 million of investment to do the BTCFi stuff over there. So the team is awesome. You'll see them every day, or not every day, every Monday on our show on Merlin Mondays, which is super awesome. To have a founder of a blockchain on a show reoccurring is amazing. He's so busy and all that stuff. But we appreciate all you guys for checking out our partners. We really, truly appreciate that. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, 100%. And just to add to what you're saying with Merlin Chain, you got to remember you can buy that on BSC. Like it is one of the tokens you can buy on PancakeSwap. So if you are interested and you're over there, you don't even need to go to buy it on Merlin Chain anymore. Or if you're on Kraken and all these other exchanges as well, you can potentially get the Merlin token there. One of the most bullish tokens of the last 6 weeks, definitely taking advantage of all the buy pressure on the to Binance Smart Chain. So definitely check that out if you're interested. And if you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out OnChainRevolution.io. We have some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like it can help them get started and code up to where we are today. Brand new article just dropped today. BNB goes vertical. Why Binance Smart Chain is stealing the spotlight from Solana. Definitely check this article out. If you missed today's show, you can actually just read this. It's a nice 3-minute read. It'll get you caught up on exactly what is happening. Highly recommend check it out. We have so many other articles here as well. There are 3 to 4 minute reads. They're very quick. You can knock them out back to back to back and pretty much get caught up. If you guys need a VPN, I highly recommend Nord. I use it every single day. Right now, you can get 27 months for about $67. Lock it in, guys. 27 months. Now you're able to use Hyperliquid. You're able to use Mexi. You're able to use anything in crypto having a VPN. There's no more geo blocking because now you can be where you need to be. If you want to be in Italy, you can set it to Italy. You want to be in El Salvador, you can set it to El Salvador. There's no more geo blocking. You know, the internet is borderless. Let's treat it like that. Having a VPN is very legal. There's nothing illegal about having a VPN. It's about privacy. Here in the US, we're allowed privacy. You know, we don't want everyone knowing what sites we go to. Having a VPN kind of stops it. They definitely get a VPN and use Nord. Use our link here. There's free ones out there, but you'll find that Nord is the best. Lock it in for 27 months and forget about it. And then if you guys need merch, we have some of the best merch in all the crypto: hats, jackets, shirts, and much, much more. Everything you can find here at OnChainRevolution.io. Remember, guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
Why you still cold? Price action roll. Don't fall from bed. Stripping indexes and putting it up in the size. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How do the market react? Fear and greed gotta die. Bridging the tokens and touching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies so savage and savage.